frontier begins.
This is about saving the future of humanity.
This is a huge victory for the good guys.
You've never seen Voyager.
Commitment to this course of action is not emotional.
Scotty, beam us up.
Welcome to Beam Me Up, a Star Trek Picard for the First Time Leadership Academy podcast. I'm Brent Allen, and I've seen every episode of Star Trek 47 times, but I am watching Star Trek Picard Season 3 for the first time.
And I'm Jeff Aiken. I've also seen every episode of Star Trek 47 times, and I'm also watching Picard Season 3 for the first time. And everyone who is watching this, many of you know us as veteran Star Trek podcasters. Many of you know us as nascent Babylon 5 podcasters. But this is going to be a Star Trek podcast. So to keep us on that track, any reference that we make outside of Star Trek is going to get you one of these. And Brent, we only get 3 references apiece to anything outside of Star Trek.
That's it. 3. One of those plays. No substitutions, exchanges, or refund.
So, Jeff, you know what this is?
What?
This is a mashup of all 3 podcasts. My show, Beam Me Up, a Star Trek podcast, which, by the way, has finished its phase 1 run.
Oh, it's wild.
And this episode right now is the official inaugural phase 2 of Beam Me Up, a Star Trek podcast. However, that's not it. This is also
a Starfleet Leadership Academy episode, sort of, a little bit. We're going to touch on some of the leadership aspects that we find in Picard.
Right.
Not going to be a lot of those, but we're going to touch on them.
And then this is the Babylon 5 for the first time podcast, all in here. So where we normally for B5 for the first time, hello to all our Babylon 5 friends, where we have the rule of 3, where we only get 3 Trek references per episode. This is the Star Trek podcast, so we're flipping it all on its head, and we're taking all 3 of these ideas and doing this weird, fun mush.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. I think a lot of us are checking out this new series, this new season in this newer series, and we thought that we would pop on, share our thoughts about it. If you are expecting this to be like one of our other podcasts where we're pulling out what we call those Star Trek-y messages, right? Looking for messages or hope for the future, this is not going to be that podcast.
Yeah.
This is 2 dudes reacting essentially to something that's coming out.
If you're looking for a deep hour-long analytical conversation picking apart every single scene of this episode, there are lots of other podcasts out there that do that. This is us 2, honestly, Jeff. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is just us as fanboys nerding
Pretty much
is what it is. Yeah.
But also acknowledging our great community. We're doing this live right now. So I see Nia in there. I see Lizard King. I see Greg, sorry. We're going to keep you working on here. And Adam, don't listen. This is going to be full of spoilers, right? On the Babylon 5 side, we have a no spoiler rule. This is all spoilers.
Oh, Jeff, I forgot. We need to do like a spoiler alert. Like, hey, from this point forward, here it is. I forgot about that. Yeah, we should do that. We don't want to spoil. We don't like spoilers here.
We don't.
We don't like spoilers. So
and hobby views in the chat as well. I want to go ahead and piggyback. It's Babylon 5. It's Babylon 5 for the first time, not a Star Trek podcast. One could argue, right, that this is Star Trek Picard, not a Star Trek series. Star Trek podcast also. But we'll find out as we get deeper into this one.
Jeff.
Just laying it out there.
You know what's also cool is this is simulcasting on all 3 YouTube channels, which is super cool.
Yeah, this is literally like the Reese's Pieces of Jeff and Brent now.
Yeah. Okay, so Jeff, with all of that out of the way, by the way, another way people should know that this is all flipped on its head?
Because we literally are flipped on our heads.
You and I are on the wrong, people right now who watch us on Babylon 5 for the first time should be like, they're on the wrong side of each other.
I'm having a hard time myself. It's because normally I look over here and it's very comfortable for me to do that. We've been doing it for 30 some odd episodes now. Gosh, no, we're a whole lot further than that.
Are we in 40?
I don't even know. I can't keep track. But now I'm like looking over here and who knows?
It's fine. Nia in the chat says that we've entered the mirror universe. And hey, listen, guys, this is fully live stream. So you guys drop a fun comment over there, and you know what we can do? I can pop it up right here on the screen. Wow. Yeah. And if you're listening to this on an audio feed later, come join us on the YouTube.
It's pretty cool.
Any of the platforms that I mentioned earlier. Jeff, let's get into this because other things. We love our games here. We love our games, and one of those games you mentioned earlier was season 3, the rule of 3. The other game actually comes at the end of the show where we try to predict what next week's episode is going to be like, but now's the time to pay the piper to see but we can't do that yet.
No, not yet.
But what I do want us to do is go back. Well, I'm sorry. Well, first of all, here's a game.
Here's a game. Let's do some episode prep before we.
This game is this show is 30 minutes or less.
Yeah,
like at 30 minutes, wherever we are in the conversation, it cuts off,
and we're getting close to it. So, Brent, I've got a question for you.
I'll take an answer.
Really, quick, high level. Where were you at the end of season? Like, what were your thoughts? Season 1, season 2, high level.
Yeah. So, season 1, Picard, I felt like was a bait and switch. Because it started the series so strong. It started with the Federation isn't the Federation anymore. Starfleet's not Starfleet anymore. Something's happened. Jean-Luc has been helping the Romulans after the star went supernova, and there's a lot of fallout. And what do we do with all of these people as they're now moving into other worlds? And by the end, we got stop the robots from taking over. Like, really? That's where you wanted to go with it? And I was highly disappointed. I liked season 1 while I was in the middle of it. I knew pretty early on that this show was going to suffer from the same thing that most sci-fi shows suffer, which is that early seasons 1 and 2 not being super great. You know, I had a lot of hope for season 2. Because there was supposed to be this 3-season arc of a story that they were going to tell. So we get into season 2. I really like season 2. I had fun with season 2. I know a lot of people hated it. I had fun. And spoil me. Greg says spoil me to everything. He hasn't watched any of it. The death of Q, I thought was such a compelling storyline. And the idea that Q's last gift, his last lesson to Jean-Luc was, hey, here's how to love. Here's how to get past your stuff so you can love. And then the time hopping adventure was something. And then all of a sudden we jettison these characters that for the most part, I'd really kind of come to know and like, you know, and I wanted more of them. And we heard like, hey, season 3, they started pimping it. Season 3's the Next Generation cast back together. And yeah, so I enjoyed season 2. It was fun. I don't know how it fits within the arc, and I don't think they're doing the arc at all anymore. And season 1 was just a bait and switch. How about you, Jeff?
Season 1, Lizard King Sawinski said it best. It turned into Mass Effect 3.
That's it.
Whoops. Turned into Mass Effect 3. So that's 1 for me right there.
Oh, there you go.
It was totally that, right? Just the whole like, oh, we're going to stop the Reapers from coming in and getting everybody. It was 2 different things. It totally went a different direction. Like a moron for the 50th episode of the Starfleet Leadership Academy, I did the entire first season in 1 episode. I boiled it down to just over an hour, pulled out the leadership lessons. It took me almost 39 hours to produce that episode.
Jeff, are you serious?
Because I had to watch.
Heard that yet?
I had to watch all. Like, 10 episodes, twice, and then I had to write, and then I had to pull the sound clips and do all this stuff for it. It's a huge mistake. I will never do that again. But I was ready for season 2. Hey, this is going to be good. And season 2 was good. It was a good 3-episode story that they stretched out over 10. And I think at that moment, I realized if I just suspend my disbelief, and I realized this is going to be like a kind of corny, flipped on its head, nostalgia ride with some other stuff, cool. I'll have a good time with it. And I had a good time with it. But they shut down like these great new characters. No more Elnor. No more Rios. We have Rios's full story.
Rios was the best new character of Star Trek Picard.
Best
Not
new
Raffi.
character? No, best actor? Dude, was that episode where he was like all the holograms together? So good. Now, Brent, I'm keeping us on time because that's what we got to do. We're 10 minutes in.
Yep.
What were your expectations heading into season 3?
I'm super excited about season 3.
Yeah.
Listen, the original cast coming back together is frankly, it's what we all wanted. You know, and here's what I think happened. I think, and I see a lot of people bagging on Star Trek. And listen, you guys are certainly more than welcome to your opinions. I'm not going to do it. I'll give you critical analysis of it, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I hated Star Trek or Picard season 1 to Picard season 2 because I did like them. I am a fan, and I'm going to be a fan of season 3 too if it kills me.
It might,
But I think Terry Matalas came in, who is now the showrunner.
Yeah.
And he came in the middle of season 2. And I think he put the brakes on stuff and said, no, we're doing something different. And he did for Picard what Manny Cotto did for Enterprise. Is he said, I know what this show should have been from episode 1. And that's what we're getting. And that's why I'm really excited. That's 3-season story arc that they had pitched to Patrick Stewart way back in the beginning. That's gone as far as I can tell. Like utterly gone. The cast all looks great. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I've seen Jonathan Frakes a ton of times in pictures, directing. He's been in YouTube videos with folks as a guest. And listen, Jonathan's just a dude. He's just a dude. But they coiffed his hair. Jeff, we teased last week the Wesley Crusher Hair Coif Award. Telling you what, Riker's putting in for it.
Right.
You know, and he looks so good. The pictures of Worf look amazing. I think Geordi, I've seen a lot of LeVar Burton too.
Yeah, we saw him on Jeopardy. I mean, a year ago? But yeah.
Yeah, and Geordi looks great. Brent Spiner looks like Brent Spiner. I think Beverly looks great. Deanna looks great. Like, it's just, I'm so excited to see where they're going. There's this new character played by Ed Spielers, who I love. Ed Spielers. I've thought he was a great actor for a long time, and I'm glad he's in the cast now. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the idea of this is what Picard should have been this whole time. Jeff, how about you?
So I avoided all the trailers, all the everything. I wanted my expectations to be 0. Okay. The only thing I've been exposed to have been those like character posters that have come out. And I agree. They look incredible. All of them look great. I have to say though, back on season 2, when Q showed up, right, and just showed like modern day John Delancey, he motivated me to be a better person. Like I started eating better.
Right.
I went to the gym like 4 times. I was like, dude, looks good. But we're getting that with Frakes. I think we're going to get that with everybody else. And but yeah, so my expectations were 0, right? Out of season 2, I thought it ended pretty strong, even though like the middle was, I've huge issues with the middle of it, but I'm suspending.
You're talking about the time travel adventure.
It could have been great. It could have been awesome. I'll just say it was a really cool idea.
I ate some popcorn and just had fun.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That was all I did.
When you lean back and have a good time, it's cool. That's how I'm trying to approach this season as well. I want to enjoy it. I can see in the comments again, and I think also like Star Trek is Star Trek, right? And someone in here put it in there that like I was alive. I was in like 2nd or 3rd grade, I think, when Next Generation came out, and I remember the people freaking out. This is not Star Trek, and all that. It's Star Trek. Right now, in the scope of everything Star Trek, I'll just own it. Picard is my least favorite series of all Star Trek. It's still Star Trek. I still enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. I would honestly put it as my 2nd least favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Discovery actually is the bottom for me. And here's the thing. I'm still a fan of Discovery. Just like I'm a fan of Picard. Just like I'm still a fan, but if I had to rank the current iterations of Star Trek,
that's where you drop it.
The bottom 2 are Picard and then
Discovery.
Yeah.
Discovery. Yeah. Yeah. They're the bottom for me as well. Just all right. Over each other. But listen, let's get into season 3.
I was gonna say we're here to talk about season 3, not seasons 1 and 2. Season 3 starts off, the title of the episode, so appropriately said, is The Next Generation. Jeff, You've watched it. I've watched it. If you guys haven't watched season 3, episode 1 at this point, please stop, turn this off, because it is spoiler-filled territory from here on out. We are bearing no holds barred. Just for the record, I have not gotten any pre-access screeners. I have not seen anything past
Correct.
season 1, episode 1. How about you?
Same here. Nothing. I'm not that cool.
So this is right. We're not that cool.
No.
We're just not that connected.
They just don't know it yet.
This one's about the people you know more than anything. All right, Jeff, what'd you think of this episode season? This as a kickoff to this new season.
Wow. It really felt like a couple, just ringing the bell on nostalgia. One thing I got to call out. I'm sorry. Yes, our friend Scott over at the Gray 17 Babylon 5, who has gotten the screeners for I think the first 6 episodes or so, says he is that cool. He is. It's true. It's true.
Yes.
So for my second buzz, I have to call out the starting off with I don't want to set the world on fire, because that's how Fallout 3 started.
That's it.
Gosh, I keep hitting the wrong button. Fallout 3 started.
It's not like you don't hit those buttons every week.
What do we say? Everything's flipped around. I am just facing this way. I am such a creature of habit.
Yeah.
The font was very original series motion pictures, the movies. The soundtrack was those movies again. It really hit those. It even did the 25th century, right? The way that the Wrath of Khan started, 23rd century. And I have
a question about that. I have a question about that specifically. When exactly is this story taking place? Because I understood everything in Picard was late 24th century. I'm assuming we've now I don't know how far after season 2 this is supposed to be taking place.
I'm not sure. All I know is that I think
we now in the 25th century with this?
I think they are single-handedly trying to both incorporate and destroy timelines from Star Trek Online, and the only way to do that is to dive into the 25th century. So maybe it's 2401 or 2 or something like that.
That's what I would think. Yeah, it's got to be that early. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But yeah, so there was that, and then I'm not. Oh gosh, I can't say my thought because it'll be my third buzz. But it started to we had blaster battles and we had all this stuff going on, and then we had I don't know, some neat characters that came in. I would say that overall, I was underwhelmed by this first episode. Overall, what about you?
So I was not underwhelmed. And I think, honestly, Jeff, doing the Babylon 5 show has helped prepare me for this.
Yeah.
And also the last 2 seasons of Picard and the last 4 seasons of Discovery, specifically. Because these have all been super hyper serialized shows. So what I know is it's bad juju trying to analyze a single episode outside of the context of the whole, and we don't have the context of the whole.
Correct.
This episode was about one thing and one thing only. Beverly reaching out to Picard, pulling Picard into this adventure, and he brought Riker along with him. And we're going to obviously catch up with the other people in the next few episodes. So for what it is, for this part of the story, for this introduction piece of the story, I was quite good with it. I loved the blaster battles.
Really?
The phaser that can just disintegrate somebody
the pump
like that.
action shotgun phaser.
Oh, Jeff, I was
Not
on
okay
it.
with
I
it.
was all over it. Over it. You're wrong, Jeff. You're wrong. I thought Riker and Picard were so funny in this episode.
Yeah, they were great. Them together.
Were so funny. I heard somewhere that I want to say it was Terry Matalas, who, for you guys who don't know, Terry Matalas is the showrunner of season 3. That he pitched this idea to Picard, or not to Picard, to Patrick Stewart, of Riker and Picard, like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid running off on an adventure. And that, understanding that and then seeing this episode where they're in the shuttle bantering back and forth, they're having their little conversations, they're in the dormitory on the bunk beds. It was so good. I just loved that whole piece. I got to tell you, there was no way that their plan with Shaw was going to work. I don't even know why they tried it.
Yeah, that was
ridiculous. Even know why they tried it.
What did you think of Shaw?
I thought he was exaggeratedly a jerk.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to show us that he's a jerk. he did exactly what he needed to do and say, no, you're retired. You don't even have a ship anymore and you don't outrank me. I'm staying right here. That's what we're doing. Now they showed him eating, and he's speaking of a movie callback in was it Undiscovered Country, the movie? The Klingons eating like blue food.
Mm-hmm.
And they had him eating blue food. And you remember that scene? Here's my first buzz. You remember that scene in I want to say it was the third Lord of the Rings movie with the Steward of Gondor eating the food while Pippin or Merry or somebody's singing. And it's so gross and disgusting. There were parts of that emulated in that Shaw scene with him at the dinner table eating blue food. And I was just like, he's unnecessarily an asshole.
For the Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
I got to tell you, I loved Shaw. I loved him to a certain point. I'll get to that.
Scott.
Right? Here's the thing. And Scott, I know Scott well enough to know that I think he might be resonating here too. Dude's a great manager. He's like, I'm running literally a tight ship here.
Would you say he's a good manager like Captain Jellicoe?
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely. I would. He's running a tight ship. He doesn't have time for these games. He's not going to, all this stuff. But then he dead named Seven.
Yeah.
And in that, two things happened to me. One, he showed just a massive, unbelievable disrespect for the person of Seven.
Mm-hmm.
And two, when he talked about her loyalties, and her loyalties are to this ship, not some filthy ex-Borg. Like he just has this hate, this racism towards Borg. I know we'll get to predictions, but one of my early ones is he's got a story, and I wonder if he's going to be like Cisco from Wolf 359, just amped up for 2023.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll be interested to see. It is interesting. I'm curious where Seven is standing on her own personal name, and whether she prefers a Seven or an Annika Hansen, or if she really doesn't care. Like I didn't get a feel from her, but up till now, she has even said she prefers a 7 of 9.
Mm-hmm.
But she seems to be okay with Annika if people want to call her that. So I'd be interested to see, especially knowing where Star Trek is, where the producers of Star Trek tend to be. You threw out the idea of a dead name.
Yeah.
And
it hit right there, at least for me.
If this is hitting, naming somebody on a dead name, I'd be interested to see where they go with that in their production choices. I want to talk about Raffi just real sec.
Yeah.
This is the Raffi I wanted to see. We saw Raffi strung out from season 1, which I thought was a great introduction to her. This Raffi, who seems to be sober, has it together, is on undercover assignment because this is the world she's worked in, and she's struggling with that. That's good drama. That's a good way to be, and I'm interested to see what she's doing.
Well, and she wrestled because she was holding the stuff, whatever it was, and she had her moment, and that's very true, to someone who has struggled, has the disease of addiction, to have that in their hand, and I'm going to let it go. And I think for me, I couldn't see initially past the irresponsibility of taking someone who has addiction and putting them in that situation with some nameless, faceless handler, who I don't think is as nameless, as faceless as they are leading us to believe, right? But who's just like, yeah, you're a deadbeat, you're detail oriented, and you're a drug addict, so deal with it. Like there's no support for her, and at least that we saw. At least that we saw in this one, and I have a problem with that.
She mentioned at one point her girlfriend left her. Now she was saying that while she was under a ruse of trying to get information out of this guy. But do you think that her and Seven have actually broken up at this point?
I do.
Like in real life. I'm pulling something in. Do you think that they're going to go back and revisit that idea? Because there really seems to be a lot of, they're dropping a lot of the threads that were picked up from seasons 1 and 2, and they're just doing their own thing with a couple of head nods here.
Well, you and I had talked about this in just our personal conversations, and that I'm okay with that one getting dropped because
Me too.
Yeah, that was not an earned relationship. It's like season 1 was ending, and all of a sudden, like, oh, and by the way, Raffi and Seven love each other. Oh,
no, it wasn't even that. They just linked hands. There was no earning that relationship whatsoever. It was not pre-established. They did not come together. That was I just didn't enjoy it. Like there was never a wink between them. There was nothing. It was just a final moment. Somebody's got to kiss somebody at the end.
Right.
And it just, you said it were at best. There was nothing that earned it. And honestly, in season 2, they felt more like buddy than they did couple.
Exactly. Yeah.
You
They
know?
were the Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, you know,
Right.
out, chasing after Girardi. They were
Right.
fun. I think they're great characters, great friends, but their romantic relationship didn't feel genuine or earned to
Yeah.
me.
And just before anybody gets off and goes, you just don't like them because they're gay or something like that. No. Because you know who one of the best relationships are in all of Star Trek?
Culber and Stamets.
Hands
down.
Absolutely. That it is probably the most central family unit I have ever seen in Star Trek. That includes Tom and B'Elanna and Worf and Jadzia. Maybe that's up a little bit against Riker and Deanna in their little cabin in the woods with their kid running around. That's pretty family centric right there.
But did you notice when Riker said too, because they were talking, Picard asked something about Deanna, and he's like, "Oh, Deanna and Kestrel will be happy to have a break from me."
Sure.
And it wasn't said in because you and I say stuff like that, about our family, and we kind of joke about it because we know they love us, and they, right? You still want? I can still. It's cool. We're good. Yeah, we're still good. So we can hang out. It didn't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if there's like some sort of conflict
there's something going on there with him. Yeah. And we'll definitely catch that. Jeff, we are under 4 minutes.
I know.
Away from this. Okay, here 2 quick things. Picard and Laris are amazing. They are exactly what I wanted from season 1. I'm glad they are together. I really hope that this isn't about him and Beverly getting back together. Like I hope that the Picard Beverly relationship is Dunsky, except for one thing. Picard is the father of that kid.
Oh, 100%.
He is the father of that kid.
Can I be really okay? This isn't cool. What I'm going to say. So it makes it cool that it's not cool because I say it's not cool. But in that moment when he looks over, he's like, "Who's this dude?" And Beverly's like, "That's my son." I just wanted him to look at him and go, "Wesley?" Like I know.
Did you
I know
you
I'm
watch
old,
the Ready
but come
Room
on.
after this?
No.
Will Wheaton was sitting there like, "Who's my space brother?
Really?
What's going on with my space brother?"
But yeah, no question. That's Jean-Luc's kid.
Okay, so Jeff, in 2.5 minutes, it is time. We've reached that part of the show where it is time to boil this down and see if it has any of that Star Trek-y quality to it. I'm not doing any Star Furies, but we are going to rate this on a scale of 0 to 5 deltas. If you guys have followed us to Babylon 5 for the first time, you know how this works. Jeff's going to talk to us. Is there any morals, messages, hope for the future, mirror reflecting society? Jeff, what happened in this episode? We
literally said we weren't going to do this. Here we are doing it. Here's why this does have a Star Trek message to it, just at a high level. Always answer when a friend calls. Even if it's been 20 years and you left in a weird way. Someone calls and they're in trouble, you go help that friend out. That's what you do because we remember those good relationships and that every person matters. You find someone you trust, you bring them along with you. Brent, I'm giving this one 2 deltas.
I like it. All right, predictions for next week. Predictions going. I'll go first. Beverly gets unfrozen and she tells Riker and Picard what's going on and why they need to get the crew back together. Also, we know from pre-production releases, spoiler alert, Jeff. Sorry, I'm going to tell you something they told us before the show ever came out. The current iteration of the Enterprise, which is like K or L or something, I don't know which letter it is scheduled for decommissioning at this Frontier Day.
Oh, the E?
And so,
is this the E?
No, this is
F?
like the F or G or something like that. They're so going to steal this ship and warp off on some adventure.
Yeah.
Hands down, they're going to do that. We've got Beverly and Picard's kid. We've got LaForge's kid. We've got Kestra Riker. This is 100% about the kids taking over, and we'll be moving on to the kids taking over. Also, Lizard King here says, Will Wheaton clearly wants to be back, guys. I'm telling you, Will Wheaton is back in this show.
He's a traveler. Of course he's going to come back.
I think Will Wheaton's back in the show. Also, I think we might get surprise cameos from the Picard season 1, season 2 cast. They said they're not there, but I think it might be surprise cameos. I could be wrong. I probably am. They keep saying no, But
here's my hope in our last 10 seconds that Star Trek or the Enterprise F is the one from Star Trek Online. That would make me super happy. Hey, everybody, thank you for joining us. You can check us out, Babylon 5 for the first time, which is not a Star Trek podcast. Beam Me Up, which is a Star Trek podcast, and the Starfleet Leadership Academy, which is my Star Trek podcast. I can't even say the name. I have a new episode dropping tomorrow, TOS's and the Children Shall Lead. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah, I found leadership lessons in And the Children Shall Lead.
that's an awful episode.
One of the worst.
All right, guys,
Unwatchable.
thank you so much for joining us for a quick 30-minute show about Star Trek Picard. We'll be back next week sometime before episode 3 airs. Bye.
Episode 2.
Yep, that's what. No, but we'll be back before episode 3 airs.
Okay, yeah, after 2,
Back next-
3.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
bye.